Joe Biden has faced a great deal of pressure for his absolutely awful, I was gonna say leadership, but just complete lack of leadership when it comes to what's going on between Israel and Palestine. He's effectively happy to just sit back and say, well, I'd prefer if there were no civilian casualties. And oh, by the way, here are the missiles you wanted. But anyway, things are changing. And it's up to us to decide if they're changing substantively or if as a response of the pressure, they're just doing a little bit better PR. Because you might have noticed, like I noticed this morning, many headlines like Biden increases pressure on Israel for a ceasefire, calling for a significant de-escalation today. And there's many of them, even like insiders saying Biden has grown increasingly harsh in his private comments to Benjamin Netanyahu. All of this very convenient if you've been criticized for seemingly having no problem with civilian casualties. Well, it goes farther. Most recent White House statement says the two leaders had a detailed discussion on the state of events in Gaza, Israel's progress in degrading the capabilities of Hamas and other terrorist elements, and ongoing diplomatic efforts by regional governments and the United States. The readout added that Biden conveyed to Netanyahu that he, quote, expected a significant de-escalation today on the path to a ceasefire. So,
what does that mean?
Iron Man's back in action. Anyway,
what does that mean?
I guess, please, sir, can I have a little bit more missiles?
So, okay, so Joe Biden is laying down first. So it could be read either way, depending on where you feel about it. He's laying down the iron fist, and he's finally drawn a line in the sand. And he talked to Netanyahu and said, "You're going to begin this de-escalation. It's going to lead to a ceasefire at some point. It's some point in the future. I don't know when, but the way it's also read is today." He told him it has to begin today. So what are the numbers? What's the significance of this de-escalation? What qualifies as a de-escalation? What, one fewer rocket that's getting sent over? One fewer bomb that's getting dropped in the airstrikes? What's a de-escalation? Because anything that's less than what you did yesterday is a de-escalation, right? But so if you kill, I don't know, maybe after you kill, I don't know if the child count is at 60, 70. So if we break it down and we don't hit the same rate, maybe you're killing 12 to 15 kids a day. Oh, we've cut it down to killing 7 to 8 kids a day. De-escalation, we're on our way to a ceasefire. What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. And well, Biden hasn't put out any sort of statement to the US saying, here are our specific expectations. It's just a reference to something he supposedly said. And so, because we can't read Biden's mind and he's not directly communicating with us, we have to see what the effect of this increased pressure is. Well, let's see. Here is something that Benjamin Netanyahu told ambassadors at a military base in Tel Aviv. There are only two ways that you can deal with them, with Hamas. You can either conquer them, and that's always an open possibility, or you can deter them, and we are engaged right now in forceful deterrence, but I have to say we don't rule out anything. What he is saying is they are not ruling out reoccupying Gaza. That would not be, I think it's fair to say, a significant de-escalation to once again occupy every. Now, look, the current situation obviously was absolutely horrendous, but at least I guess it was an occupation. We might be moving back in that direction. And also, we have some breaking news because now that all that news has, the stories have come out about Biden, significant new pressure. Netanyahu says he's, quote, determined to continue Gaza operation after President Joe Biden urged a significant de-escalation. So, damn, Biden really tried hard and I guess just didn't work. I guess it's just not, because he's not doing anything. He's just saying, I'd love it if you do less of the thing that you totally want to do and are facing no consequences for. You could perhaps say, I want a significant de-escalation. Here is what that looks like. And if you don't, those JDAMs you want, gone. You're not getting those. And in fact, the $4 billion a year in military aid, maybe we could put that into increased food stamps domestically. Maybe we could put that towards fighting the climate crisis or something. There's certainly a lot of things we'd love to put some money into. That's actual pressure. That's actual leverage. But notably, there's no references to anything like that in the White House statement.
Well, the thing is also there's something to compare it with. So we can talk about how strong and powerful this statement is in this phone call that Joe Biden had with Benjamin Netanyahu. But we've seen our country with, who cares who's leading it, Democrats or Republicans? We've seen them come out and put sanctions on people and countries, particularly when they're doing something that we want them to stop doing. We have a history of being able to address these issues directly and forcefully in a way that would deter them from doing it. We're not, every time you have a conversation, okay, Donald Trump was in office and he vowed to make sure that Iran stopped their nuclear program, that somehow this nuclear deal that Obama garnered with them is a disaster. So he stripped it all completely clean. He shut it all down, and in fact, set up a way for Iran to actually begin to enrich their uranium again, right? They did that because there's a way that you can do it to actually punish a country. In that case, I think they did a bad job because that was completely against our interests. So imagine if in that case, instead of him actually stripping away all these things and making it harder for them to do things, he went, I had a conversation with Iran and I told them, yeah, I hope that you would eventually get to a point where you can do the things that we'd like for you to do. And then he comes back and dusts his hands and goes into a MAGA crowd and says, I told them to stop it. You think everyone would go, yeah, Donald Trump is so, no, they would go, what does that mean? You didn't do anything to Iran. So we do the same thing with Israel and say, hey, you guys, maybe you want to stop and calm down a little bit, maybe potentially at some point get to a de-escalation point, then eventually that'll get to a ceasefire, I don't know. And that's supposed to be seen as strong and powerful and putting his foot down? Come on, man.
I don't know.
We've seen it.
It is a carefully constructed PR effort to do the absolute bare minimum to rebut a little bit of what they see as maybe hurting him a little bit, that it looks like he doesn't care about kids dying. And it substantively is exactly the same thing, but it looks a little bit better.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.